Well, hello traders and investors. I'm L.A. Little and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened today. What does it tell us about the coming ones? I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube and it's under the channel L.A. Little. If you haven't subscribed and wish to, just reach up in the right hand corner. Anytime I push content, you'll get a notification. It's an easy way to stay up with what's going on. And what's going on is kind of what we talked about last night, even with a little bit more force than I expected. And that is that these markets tried to trade down and then flipped around. And that's kind of what we said would happen last night. 1.56% on the NDX and the NASDAQ. You got 1% on the Russell, percent on the S&P 500, about a little over 0.5% on the Dow Jones. Big mover, oil, 5%, right? Big pop in oil. The DAX trying to get up there but struggling. The DAX actually went down, tested the bottom of that Draghi bar, or came within whiskers of it. Gold, silver sold off. All the commodities in general outside of oil sold off. And we actually saw the Nikkei finish down again, and it looks like it's starting out down tonight, although it was up last night. It was up last night when we were speaking, did finish down on the day, which is kind of what we thought it would do because of the yen. Let's take a look at these markets here. Let's just start here with the S&P 500. So if we look at the S&P 500, you get a reversal bar, right? It's a takeaway bar is what I like to call these. So you take away all the badness of the prior bar, get back over to close over that high. So you essentially, well, this one didn't get under it. It was actually an inside bar all day, but it did push over by the end of the day, finishes higher. That can go higher. NASDAQ actually was higher all day and ends up with a new high today. Now, if we pop over to the NDX actually was the leader. The NDX gets easily over a new high. Not much volume coming in, but you know what? Once you get a new high, you can keep going. Russell pops up, does the same sort of thing the S&P did. Russell comes into that wide price spread bar on the way up. 1109 was the top. 1109.02 today. 1109.21 there. So tomorrow the Russell will be the one to watch to see if this thing can break out. And I suspect that's going to have a lot to do with what oil does tomorrow. Speaking of the oil market, we saw that reversal that we were kind of thinking would take place. It looked like it was set up that way. I talked about it last night, and sure enough, that is what happened. I'm going to use the USO tonight and just show the big spike back up the other way. Now, if you're looking at the WTI itself, the West Texas Intermediate, the futures or the spot, it's coming into these bars. It's about right here in terms of that move. So the WTI looks a lot stronger than the USO. USO really doesn't track it that well over time. But you can, in a very short time frame, you can see the kind of moves that you get. This thing did get a nice spike back up. I suspect it's not going to go all that far. The inventory number, you had to draw down. It's that time of the year, so you should start to see the drawdown. There was also news overnight of the cap in production being talked about again. So that's what's driving this, and that is helping the Russell. If we look elsewhere, the dollar had pushed up hard, but then gave it all up, right? And closes, the dollar had pushed up, and yes, he gave it up, but the volume was there. And so the dollar just still can't get off these lows. And if you look at the euro, you look at the yen, those guys are still pushing higher, which of course is deadly for those markets. One thing I want to point out, we just talked about how strong the U.S. market is. Here's the broadest index of the U.S. market. This is the Vanguard VTI. So that's a broad index of the U.S. markets. And if we bring this over and pull the weekly over, you can see the kind of push up that has taken place as it comes back up towards that swing point high. Now look at that and compare it to the Vanguard emerging markets. Here's the emerging markets. Looks about the same on the daily. On the weekly, looks very different. As a matter of fact, if you push up the monthly, they look hugely different. I'll go back and show you the U.S. markets here again. put it on a monthly again, and look at the difference in those markets. That's the kind of difference we've seen. If we're really going to see these markets leg higher, the U.S. markets leg higher, you're going to have to see improvement in the world. So it just like we saw the rotation start today, and actually started a little bit earlier, I brought your attention to the IBB. The IBB here put a nice reversal in and just broke out on huge volume. If we're going to see the U.S. markets leg higher, this is the last group, along with the healthcare XLV, to actually make the move to the top side. You're going to need to see that in the world markets next, rotation to the world markets. And frankly, with the euro and the yen as it is, unless we see the dollar start to appreciate and bring those down, I don't think we're going to see that. And so that, to me, is going to be the big move next, and we'll see if that develops or not. I suspect it's going to be a hard way to go in terms of getting the rest of the world to join us and help push us even higher. Speaking of pushing higher, last Thursday night I told you about a stock that we were trading, a biotech that you could make some big gains on. Members and I cashed out of a good portion of it today on this big spike up. This is Valiant Pharmaceuticals, VRX. You had the IBB breaking out as part of it. I brought your attention to the pharmaceutical, not so much pharmaceuticals, but the biotechs. I think Sunday night we outlined it. But this was a trade that I had set up for the members. We actually bought Thursday, and I just want to go over this trade real quick. And at some point, the cradle to grave trades, you'll be able to review those and see this in detail as it unfolds. But on Thursday, when I told you about having bought into this and expecting a spike on it, Thursday we had bought on that test of the low into the day. And then on Friday, we got the big push up, 6.8%. Took some profits on that. Didn't know the next day it was going to come back, but it actually came back, tested again, less volume than this bar here. So again, to point this out, what you're doing is you're measuring against, this is a swing point low. You're measuring against this low, this volume, right? You're measuring to see how you trade into it. And as you can see, all three of these tests were lows. Couldn't get under it. We bought back in again. Got the push up yesterday for a good 10%. Today, another 18, almost 19%. And for what we have left, it's up another 5% after hours. The thing was up 24% overall today. That's a trade. That was a great trade. That was the one I referred to on Thursday. Didn't reveal the name, to be fair to members. And today, it's worth revealing because we've probably got the majority of that move already. That's the sort of stocks you got to find, folks. And in this market, there's quite a few of these roaming around. You just got to be looking for them, looking for the right place. And then, of course, timing that entry so that you let the market prove to you first that there are no more sellers, right? That's what you're always trying to decide. Are there more sellers down here at the lows or not? And when it comes down and it tests and it tests and it tests and it can't get under that low, that's exactly what it's telling you. It's telling you, I don't have any more sellers down here. They just don't want to give it up. And if they don't want to give it up, then they're going to take it back the other way. And that's Valiant, and that was the nice trade. As far as what's going to happen next, we're on Fed watch, so to speak. We had the Fed minutes come out today. The Fed minutes got us the boost into the end of the day. The index was strong all day long, in particular because of IBB, between BBH, all the biotechs. But when we got that move off the Fed minutes, Fed minutes basically said we're not going to move in April. So that's kind of off the table probably. At least the market has put it off the table. That says that you're not going to move until July probably. And so this market's saying, hey, at most one bump up this year, maybe two. And so when you look at it from that perspective, the market is saying, hey, we got our cake and we can eat it. But as I showed you with the world markets, something's awry. And with the currencies as they are, thinking that you're going to get another leg up is probably wishful thinking. In other words, another leg up that would carry And so I'm going to bring you back to the S&P again. I'm going to pull it up to the weekly here. And what I'm talking about is, can you get another leg up? And if you take this range, can you push another leg on top of this? Right? Can you do another one of those? I think that's a pipe dream probably. And especially in the context of a straight up move from where we are. In other words, can we push straight up to here? I don't think so, folks. But, the market's acting like that's what it wants to do. And right now, nobody's arguing with it. We'll see what's going to stop it. Right now, nothing is stopping it. I told members this weekend when I did the broadcast, look for this swing point high to be tested. That's the target. That's probably the best case this week, and that's what it's going to do. 2081. We're sitting here at 2066. It's not that far away. 2 days to go, or actually 3 days to go. What is today? I get my days mixed up here. We're on Wednesday, so 2 more days to go. That's the target. I suspect that's where they're going to try to push it to. And right now, folks, there are no failures anywhere on these charts, so don't expect it to turn around and run to the downside tomorrow. A little bit more push, it looks like to me. Have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.